And how do we rate their prospects?
Well, in athletics, fantastic. Di Green, 400 hurdles, has gone right up to the top of the, near the top of the world rankings. Reece Williams in the same race, Christian Malcolm, the 200, and young Francesca Jones, watch out for her in rhythmic gymnastics, just 19 years of age.
We shall. Zambia, following Wales. Rachel Nachula.
I think the crowd is already ready for the next team.
We know what's coming.
We know who's coming now.
Because after Zambia, the last team in will be the host nation, India.
And I think the stadium has just erupted with cheering here. I think that's great for the athletes, for the Indian athletes, considering everything that they've had to go through. Of course, as the home nation, the largest team, with over 400 athletes, and India's only Olympic individual gold winner of Abhinav Bindra is the flag bearer, and there he is. He's been a very, very busy man, but he's looking very smart in his sherwani. Crowd loving it. There's the Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh. Always a very genteel man. And all the athletes there in their beautiful saris. It's a great moment for them.
It's a very proud moment indeed, Teku, and when you think of the problems of the last few weeks and months, you get a real sense here in this ceremony of moving on, setting those problems to one side. There's a real outpouring of pride and enthusiasm as the national team appears.
Definitely, Hugh, and I think, especially for the athletes, I mean, this is what they work towards for years and years, and they really wanted to get down, and you know, this is what is important about the games, the sports and the hard work that these athletes have put in, and unfortunately they haven't had the opportunity to practice in many of the venues, but
well, nonetheless, they've targeted over 100 medals, which I think is a steep mountain to climb, but they know how to do that in this part of the world, don't they?
They want to better their last tally, I think, Steve.
I think it'd be really interesting. We could have one of the well, I think could be one of the real moments of these games, because in track and field, India have traditionally not done that well. Milkha Singh, back in 1958, the great flying Sikh, as he used to be called, the only gold medalist of the Commonwealth Games back in 1958. But with Tintu Luka in the 800 metres, of course, we have no Caster Semenya of South Africa here. A couple of the English athletes not here. She's got a real chance. In this season, she's gone from almost unknown to right towards the top of the world rankings, and she could well become the face of these games if she were to win the gold medal on the track here.
President of India, Pratibha Patel. And it looks like the whole Indian contingent seems to be here.
So as India make their way in, completing this athletes parade in this opening ceremony of the Commonwealth Games in Delhi, let me tell you that what happens next in this ceremony is that we are approaching the moment where the games will be formally opened. But before that happens, there will be a few brief remarks from the man who's organised the games, Suresh Kalmadi, from the man who's in charge of the Commonwealth Games Federation, Mike Fennell, and from the Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh. And they will all say a few words. After that, the baton relay will take place. The baton, which has been all over the world and which has now arrived in Delhi, containing the Queen's message, that will be presented to the Prince of Wales, and the message will be read. After that, the President and His Royal Highness will declare the games open. That is the plan of action.
I'm just looking down in front of me, Hugh. They're getting a fantastic reception from dignitaries and the crowd alike. And as I said, they've all been designated seats to sit in. I'm really worried there aren't enough seats for the Indian team.
It does look to be a very big crowd, Steve. You're right. And just to convey the sense of the response here in the stadium, it is thunderous applause. And of course, that is backed up by these pulsating drums, which have been going now for 50 minutes and adding hugely to the atmosphere.
I think this is what the country has been waiting for, and maybe this is the enthusiasm and the excitement that India has really been working towards. Just get on with the games now. I think that's what the Indians have been saying. Sports never have been encouraged much in the country, unfortunately, especially from a young age, and I think there's a real sense that these games will spur on youngsters in the country to take up the various sporting events.
Some people at home will be surprised. They'll think, well, Indians love cricket, they're obsessed about cricket.
Of course they are.
So clearly they are engaged in sport in some ways.
Definitely, definitely. And during the Football World Cup, I mean, the crowds in the sports bars were enormous. So Indians love sports, they love watching sports. It's now a matter of participating in them, I think, which would be important.
Well, with 1.3 billion people, if they do start getting their act together, then watch out the rest of the world.
That's Suresh Kalmadi, that's the man who's organised the games. He's taken a bit of stick, I think it's fair to say. He's been criticised for aspects of the organisation, but he's been, well, I think he's been pretty unyielding in his attitude.
He has. At one of the press conferences, Hugh, when he was asked whether his dream of the Olympic Games in 2020 was over, buried and dead and buried, he said, talk to me after the game. So
there we see the seats reserved for the Indian national team. Just maybe up to 100 of them still to be seated.
Jack Rogge, the IOC president, looking on, and of course it's been mentioned on more than one occasion already this evening, there are ambitions for India to bid for the 2020 Olympics. So I'm sure Jack Rogge getting a very close-up view of how they're doing at the start of these Commonwealth Games, at least.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, we welcome the athletes of the Commonwealth to India. Brilliant sportsmen and women from 71 nations who have gathered here to compete in the spirit of the Games.
देवी और सज्जन, हम स्वागत करते हैं राष्ट्रमंडल देशों के सभी खिलाड़ियों का सच्ची खेल भावना के साथ.
So this is signalling the next phase of this ceremony. As I was saying, some brief words of welcome from Suresh Kalmadi and Mike Fennell and the Prime Minister before we move on to that baton relay and the formal opening.
And now, please welcome Mr. Suresh Kalmadi, Chairman Organising Committee, Commonwealth Games, Delhi 2010.
और अब कृपया स्वागत करें आयोजक समिति राष्ट्रमंडल खेल दिल्ली 2010 के अध्यक्ष श्री सुरेश कलमाडी का.
oh dear, few views there for Suresh Kalmadi.
Srimati
Wasn't the best
Pratibha
reception.
Devi Singh Patil, Honorable President of India,
I think he is the man that many
Your
people
Royal
here
Highness,
blame for all the
Prince
mess that's
Charles,
been seen around the world.
Prince of Wales, and the Duchess of Cornwall,
His Royal Highness
Dr.
not
Manmohan
impressed
Singh,
with the
Honorable
boos,
Prime
maybe?
Minister of India, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, Chairperson, National Advisory Council, all the visiting heads of state, Honorable Michael Fennell, Commonwealth Games Federation President, and all members of the Games family, Count Jack Rogge, President, International Olympic Committee, and all the IOC members. Your Royal Highness Prince Edward, Earl of Wessex, and Vice Patron of the Commonwealth Games Federation, former President Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad, group of ministers headed by Shri Jaipal Reddy, Minister of Sports Dr. M.S. Gill, and all the cabinet colleagues of his and officials of the Government of India, Secretary General of the Commonwealth Mr. Kamlesh Sharma, my fellow members of parliament and leaders of all political parties, Mr. Tejendra Khanna, Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, Mrs. Sheila Dikshit, Chief Minister of Delhi, members of the Defence and Security Forces, my colleagues in the Indian Olympic Association and other stakeholders, my colleagues in the organizing committee, the army of 20,000 volunteers who are the backbones of the Games, all the media from India and abroad, the artists who are performing here this evening, especially the thousands of school children, all the wonderful citizens of Delhi and India, the sporting fraternity in India, and my dear athletes from all over the Commonwealth. दिल्ली के सभी क्रीड़ा प्रेमी नागरिक भाइयों और बहनों, नमस्कार। Seven years, 70,000 hours of effort, the glare of the world cameras, hopes and aspiration of 1 billion, and the determination of a rising superpower. India is ready to host the great Commonwealth Games. For us in the Indian Olympic Association, the dream was to make India a sports-conscious nation, one that embraces all sports with fervor and passion. It has been 28 years since India's iconic leaders, Srimati Indira Gandhi and Shri Rajiv Gandhi, inspired the hosting of the Asian Games. One of the biggest objectives behind hosting a Games of this magnitude is to regenerate the socio-economic landscape. India is already the second fastest growing economy in the world. Many trade and business delegations are already here for the Commonwealth Business Club meetings. We expect the Commonwealth Games to contribute significantly to our economy. Over the past few years, we have worked hard in planning, preparing and putting the Games together. There have been delays and many challenges, but we have been able to rise above them all. When we were faced with the most difficult challenges, Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh, unending encouragement and reassurance made us feel, yes, we can. I also like to thank Mrs. Sonia Gandhi for her support to get the Games to India. I am also thankful to then Prime Minister Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee for backing the bid to host the Games, which our broadcast partners will beam to a worldwide audience of more than 2 billion people on high-definition television. Despite the adverse publicity about security, health, infrastructure, and heavy rains, all the Commonwealth associations have stood by India as Delhi 2010 becomes the largest ever in the history of the Commonwealth Games. More than 6,800 athletes and team officials from all the 71 nations and territories of the Commonwealth. And I repeat, all the 71 nations have showcased their faith in India by confirming their participation. New champions will be born here in New Delhi, I'm sure of that. I have also admired the patience of the citizens of Delhi, even as a number of facilities in the capital were being upgraded. A fantastic legacy has been created for Delhi and India in terms of world-class facilities like a superb airport, metro rail across Delhi, and much else. I'm sure Delhi will be an impeccable host and prove that it is now a truly world-class city and a great tourist destination. in just a few moments from now,